How's it going, everyone, and welcome back. So in this video I want to kick off a new tutorial series. It's going to be focused on the custom fixture editor, which is an exciting tool in GeoPix that really opens things up to working with DMX lights on a whole new level. As you may remember from 1.0, you are able technically to operate any kind of fixture with your typical pixel fixture strand, but it's obviously not a good workflow for that kind of light, and also you're not going to have any ability to see that in real time, right? With the custom fixtures, you can actually do pan tilt, lights, illumination, atmospherics. It's very dynamic, all real time, of course, and you can define this in meticulous detail, which is very cool. So this is an important workflow to kind of master if you're doing any kind of stage lighting where you're integrating things with moving lights and LEDs. And you want to kind of bring those into the same software, same ecosystem, talk to them from the same software. It's important to kind of define profiles that, at the bare minimum, define the channels you need and maybe some very simplistic, colors. But if you really want to go crazy, you can obviously map out and recreate your real life fixtures in almost one-to-one detail in terms of what they can do. Obviously, there's some features missing from the custom fixture editor at this exact time of recording. Things like prism effects are not supported, and pan tilt lag is not currently implemented, but those will be coming down the line. And as they get added, you'll see those options pop up in the fixture editor, and you can tweak those things as needed for every use case. So with that said, let's open up the custom fixture editor and take a look. So the way you get to this, you go to Tools over here at the top and Custom Fixture Editor, and that's going to open up this window. And it should look something like this, nice and empty, not a single thing going on. And this is where all of the fixture editing happens. This is its own little ecosystem in GeoPix that doesn't have anything to do with your viewport over here. So you can create a new fixture profile. You can load one from disk, like I can load this one right here. And if I load that, it's going to populate, the outliner on the left. It's going to populate our channel bank down here on the bottom, and it's going to give us, some attributes on the right if you have something selected. You can also save the fixture. So anytime you save that fixture, it's going to update in GeoPix, but it won't update automatically. You actually have to click save. We got some other buttons up here. We have the home camera, which is really just a reset camera. It's not going to home it to what you have selected. It's just going to kind of take you back to the home base. You have a few other things too. You have these buttons at the top here. These 5 buttons are the only 5 things that you can create in the fixture editor. There's 5 different types of objects, if you will. You have your duplicate and your delete. Pretty self-explanatory. Now the things you can create are very selection dependent. They do not allow you to create them just any which way you want. You actually have to attach them to things that matter. So for example, transforms, geometries, and emitters, these things all require a parent transform, right? They exist in the world, but since they have the potential to be animated or driven, they really need to be parented to a transform. And a transform is a thing that you physically rotate or move or scale, etc. So by selecting, a transform, which the blue things are transforms, you can now open up these 3 buttons for creating transforms, creating geometries, or creating emitters. So those are the 3 physical object types that you can create: emitters, geometries, and transforms. That's it. Between these 3, you can actually do quite a bit. So we'll talk about all that here in a bit. So the other things that you can create, and this is probably the most important thing here, is the channels. So a channel, if you have a parcan that's maybe 4 channels, like a red, green, blue dimmer, then you're going to want 4 channels. So you'll create those. They're going to appear down here. You can select those channels by clicking down here at the bottom label. And you can obviously set them. You can set them to a specific value. So as you're programming things, you're going to want to test your red channel, test your dimmer channel, and this just gives you quick and easy access without having to worry about projectors or anything else like that to quickly see how things are working. So the last thing that you can make is a mapper object, and a mapper object is a special thing that defines the relationship between the DMX channel, which is simply a value between 0 and 255, and literally anything else in your fixture. So if you are trying to control the pan channel of a moving head, obviously 0 to 255 needs to be mapped to probably a range like 0 to 540. And since that's kind of a mathematical operation, you need some kind of way of translating, right, this number range to that target range. And so that's a very simplistic example of a mapping object's purpose, but it is a common one. So you can only make a mapper object attached to an actual channel slider. So if you don't have a channel slider, you can't make these. But if you do, and you click on this button, it's going to basically add it to that channel's list of mappers. And as you make more channel or more mappers, this list will grow. And so each of these mappers can do a number of things. This is probably the most complex part of the whole custom fixture editor, and there is a wizard that kind of helps you set these up. But as you get used to using this tool, you might find yourself just typing things in manually. It just depends. But mappers are super important, and they are the way that you move things, make them turn on, make them dim, make them strobe, all things like that. So we're going to get into all this, slowly and gradually. We're going to kind of step through these in gradually more complex tutorials in this series. I want to spend a lot of time on this series and make sure that people have a good understanding of what it is you're doing and kind of how to approach different topics. So, we're going to start in the next video with a simple Parcan, nothing that is a commercial brand with a specific sheet, although we'll get into that probably towards the end, kind of go through a more concrete real life example. But we're going to just stick with a simple, RGB dimmer type of Parcan, something that's similar to what you'd find, in real life, but that's simple enough to kind of explore the concepts and work with this tool. And we'll go from there. We'll eventually get to a completed DMX moving light, and then eventually we'll also get to some more interesting things like lights that move on a vertical axis. Maybe you have like a light, in an installation that moves up and down on a winch, motorized winch, and so you actually want to visualize that in GeoPix. You can actually visualize that by creating a custom fixture that defines that object and its channel to transform relationships. So with that said, we're going to wrap this video up, and in the next video we'll actually dive into setting up a simple Parcan and lighten it up and bring it into GeoPix. All right, thanks a lot.